Hello, everybody. This is Cecil Pearson Jr. Today is September the 11th, 2019. Hello, guys. I want to talk about, for the first time on video, where I was uh, 18 years ago today. My wife and I had just gotten married. We were living in Bradenton, Florida, Manatee County. And I was working as a nurse at a rehabilitation facility. And my wife was a stay-at-home mom, and she had our children at the doctor's office getting immunizations. We started our day like any other day. We were living right on the Bradenton-Sarasota border, and we got up, and she went to the doctor's office, and I went to the rehab facility to pick up my paycheck. And I'm one of these people that can stand and talk to anybody. And I was standing there and I was talking, and I looked up at the TV set that was there in the lobby, and a plane had hit the World Trade Center. And we were discussing, I've been a firefighter since I was 12 years old. And I'm actually the youngest firefighter in Collins, Georgia's history books. I was there, and we were discussing how hot it must be above where the plane had hit, and the massive efforts it was going to take to get firefighters up, to the 110th floor to get those people out of there and all of that. And I was watching when the second plane hit the building. I'm sorry, folks, this is very emotional for me. I saw the second plane hit the building, and I remember the terror that consumed my body. And they started, the newscasters started talking about more hijacked planes from all over. And they didn't know what all buildings was going to be hit. I left that rehab center, and I was driving a cabriolet at the time. And I remember the top was down, and I got in the car, and I drove just as hard and fast as I could to the doctor's office where my wife was at with my kids, because it was a high-rise building. I went in, I got them, and I didn't use faith that day. I got my children, I got my wife, and we got out of there. We went back to where we were staying, and I left my wife and Ayana there, and then I went to the two separate schools that my other two children were in, and I got them, and I brought them home. And we sat and we watched the news. And I remember I just walked back in the door when the first tower fell. And an overwhelming sense of grief covered me, because I knew that Firefighters and paramedics and police officers and civilians had just died when that building fell. A few minutes later, the second building fell. Then we started getting reports that the Pentagon had been hit and that another plane was headed to the White House. They had scrambled jets. They were going to shoot that plane down. They weren't going to let it hit the White House. And everybody I know was watching TV. We were glued to it. We lived in a little apartment complex type deal, and nobody was outside talking. Very few cars were moving up and down the streets in Bradenton. It was like it was a ghost town. Everybody was home. Everybody was watching what was going on. And I remember thinking, this is war. This is what war looks like today. It's not a country that's going to come in and drop soldiers and going to have a conventional old-fashioned war. This is what war looks like today. And the President Bush, George W. Bush, had ordered all aircraft be grounded. And honestly, I did not know he was in Sarasota, there at the schoolhouse. And all of a sudden, I could hear this roar of a jet engine. And terror went through me because I thought a plane was fixing to hit our building that we lived in. I thought we were fixing to get hit. We were on the second floor, and I thought for sure we were about to be hit because all aircraft was grounded. And I remember running outside, and I saw Air Force One as it went over. It flew right over our building. And that pilot, that must have been one of the best pilots I have ever seen. He had Air Force One screaming as it came over, just tearing into the sky, just as fast as it could go. And I remember I went back in and I told my wife, she was crying. I told my wife, it's fine. It's Air Force One. It's fine. The president's headed back to Washington. And it started showing on the news then that he was right there in Sarasota. And I understand why they didn't say where he was at the time because of what was going on and the way the world was, our world was under attack. And I just kept thinking, how can this be? And I know there must have been please stop promoting your channel on mine, please. That's not what I'm here doing today. I'm here trying to remember. I'm not here plugging a channel. If you can't show more respect than that, get off mine. And I remember thinking that we were never going to be the same anymore. That no one would ever look at anybody who came from Saudi Arabia or Iraq or any of those places, that no one would ever look at them the same again. And I remember Kate wanted me to go get some sodas from the store right down the street. And I went to pick up some sodas for us, and I was going to get some candy bars for the kids and some chips and stuff. And I walked in the store, and there was some Middle Eastern people running the store. And they were watching it on TV. But these people were laughing. They were laughing. They were celebrating what was happening on TV. And honestly and truthfully, it's the first time in my life I ever felt that kind of rage. I turned and walked back out of the store. I wouldn't even buy the drinks there, and I went to the grocery store. I got what we wanted from the grocery store. And I didn't feel shame at that particular moment for what I felt in that store, because I was like every other American that day. I was just angry. We had been attacked for no reason. We had lost 3,000 lives for no reason. Children had been killed for no reason. These people had gotten on planes and they had flown them into buildings for no reason. There was no rationale for it then. There's no rationale for it today. 18 years later, there's still no reason. You know, when we go to war, we go to war. When this country goes to war, we go to war. We attack military. We attack insurgencies. We don't attack civilians. But that's not how these people work. These people, these radical Islamists, their sole goal is to cause as much terror and chaos as they can cause. And they don't care if they kill one person or 100,000 people with what they're doing. They don't care, because they don't put any value on human life. None. I prayed, and I have prayed every day since then, and I have asked God to soften my heart toward the Middle Eastern people. I don't hate them, but I don't trust them. I don't trust any member of Islam. I don't hate anybody. But that day changed me, because I had always been a person. It didn't matter who you were or where you were from or what religion you were. You had a purpose. Some of you have bought one of my books called Beaten but Blessed. Some of you haven't. But in that book, I discuss what it's like being raised by a father who's in the KKK, and how he tried to get me to hate black people. And I couldn't do it. He beat me unmercifully. because I wouldn't hate black people. My best friends were blacks. My first girlfriend was a black girl. That first girl I had a crush on anyway. But hate never took with me. It just never took. Even when it was trying to be beat into me, it just never took. I was never a person who could hate somebody. And I believe that everybody had a place in this world, but I don't believe anymore, not since 9/11, 2001. I don't believe that there's a place in this world for radical Islam. I just don't. And this video will probably get banned or whatever, but I don't care. I don't believe that there is a place for radical Islam. And at the same time, I don't think every time we get on an airplane and we see an airplane, a bus, a train, any form of public transportation, subway, I don't think if you see a person of Middle Eastern descent that you should automatically think that person wants to do you harm. I don't believe that either. And I know that a lot of good people catch a bad rap because of what happened on 9/11. You can't take shampoo on an airplane now because people hijacked aircraft and flew them into buildings. These terrorists changed everybody's life. Not just the people that they killed, not just the families of the victims that died that day, not just the survivors. They changed everybody's life. You know, when I tell you guys, when I'm preaching and I tell you guys that just a handful of people can change the way the world thinks, I mean it. Just a handful of people that day changed how the world sees everything. Since then, we have had numerous Muslim attacks on this country, in France, in England. The tube station bombings in England was awful. Ultimate what? Ultimate hombre what? Cecil, come on, really? Come on, really what? I'm asking you, come on, really what? Ultimo hombre. What do you want to know? No, we weren't lied to. You start popping that mess off when I lost brothers and sisters, you can go now. I mean it. I won't hear that here. You weren't there. I won't have that mess on my channel. Thank you, Shane. I appreciate that, brother. This is one place. This is one day. This is one day where we will not entertain evil on my channel. Armand Grant, they did not. I mean it. Today's not the day for that. And this is not the channel for anti-patriotism. This ain't the channel for that. These young kids, they think they know something. They don't know anything. They weren't alive when this happened. And if they were alive, they were in short pants. Another conspiracy theorist. I'm just appalled. It was radical Islamic Muslims that attacked my country. It was not the government. Am I angry? You doggone right I'm angry. I'm tired of you sniveling cowards making excuses for people like radical Islamic Muslims. There is no excuse. None. They are nothing more than dogs. And I am so thankful. I am thankful that if they don't accept Jesus, they go to hell. I am thankful that if they don't accept Jesus, they go to hell, because that's where they belong. It is sick. These radical Islamic Muslims will take somebody who has, Down syndrome in their own culture. They will put them in a wheelchair packed full of explosives and roll them into somebody and blow them up because they don't think they're worth anything. And you want to defend somebody like that? They beat women and kill them if they walk down the street and a man speaks to them. And you want to defend them? I am not against anybody who is peaceful. I am not against anybody who thinks differently than I do. I don't have a problem with Buddhist. You know what? A Buddhist may get angry enough to spit, but they'll never kill a soul. Not one. Because they don't believe in hurting something. They don't believe in hurting anything. I don't have problems with people exercising their religious freedoms. I have problems when their religious freedoms try to take my life and try to take the lives of people I know. Then I have a problem with it. I'm careful. I'm very careful because I do receive a number of death threats, probably between 15 and 20 a week from Muslims that you folks that are behind these conspiracy theories want to stand up for. Yeah, they send me death threats because I preach Jesus Christ, Him crucified, resurrected, and sitting at the right hand of the Father. I don't wish anybody dead. And I certainly would never threaten to harm anybody because my Jesus tells me I'm not supposed to do that. But 9/11 changed everybody. Everybody. Today is my nephew's birthday. And ever since that happened, he wishes he had a different birthday. And I can understand that. You know, I was making this video as a remembrance to the victims, their families, and for my fallen brothers and sisters in the fire department and the police department. Over 300 firefighters lost their life that day. All they were trying to do was help somebody. People from all over the world was killed that day. People from, I think it was like 72 different countries were in the World Trade Center and killed that day. I'm just thankful that something had happened. I can't remember what it was now, but something had happened, and the World Trade Center was actually operating on more of a skeleton crew than it was a full staff. I can't imagine how many would have been dead if, you know, the 25 or 30,000 people that worked in that building had been in there. It amazes me that even today, after 18 years, I can still hear the people screaming in the streets when the buildings fell. I watched it on TV, but I can hear them screaming today. I can't begin to name every person that died. That'll be happening today up there at the World Trade Center Ground Zero at the memorial. They'll be doing that today. And just like every day since this happened, every September the 11th, I'll be watching. But I got a bad feeling about today. And I hope I'm wrong. But I really do think something bad's going to happen today. And I hope and I pray that I'm wrong. The Lord hasn't shown me anything. I've just got an awful feeling in the pit of my stomach. And I remember talking to my granddad, and he was telling me about December the 7th when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. I couldn't understand. As a kid, I couldn't understand why he was upset and why he cried so. See, my granddad was a fighter pilot and he was stationed at Pearl Harbor. He was there when it bombed. He was one of the few that survived. His friends died on the tarmac and in some of those boats. And he told me, he says, boy, I hope you never know what it's like to see your country attacked. I think we pretty much got the world licked now where they won't do that. Granddad was wrong. And my children now are having to grow up under the threat of being shot at school. World's an evil place, folks. That's why Paul says we're supposed to set ourselves apart from it. We have to live in it. We don't have any choice. We have to live here. No place else we can live. But we have to try to set ourselves apart from the evil that takes that runs so rampant. You look today and you've got people slinging fits about animals being killed, but they think it's okay to kill a little baby. You've got people that sling a fit about Christians saying a prayer in the schoolhouse, but they set aside time for Muslims to go pray. You've got people locked up in jail. And I'm a Christian, so I don't get a special menu. But if you're a Muslim, you get special food. You broke the law. You ought not to get special treatment. You broke the law. If I got to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, you do too. That's the way that should be. But the problem is if you're white and if you're a Christian, you're automatically wrong now. And you should be ashamed of being white, and you should certainly be ashamed of being a Christian, is what's being taught to our children. Be ashamed that you're white and be ashamed that you're a Christian. I'm not ashamed that I'm white, and I'm not ashamed that I'm a Christian. My children aren't either, because I teach them don't be ashamed of who you are. If you do something wrong, be ashamed of what you've done, but don't ever be ashamed of who you are. I don't care what color you are. I really don't. Black people, Latino people, And I just want to get one thing perfectly clear when I say this, because a lot of you folks think I'm kidding. But let me tell you, some of the prettiest ladies I have ever seen on this planet was of the Latino descent. Mm-hmm. The beautiful ladies, beautiful ladies. But folks understand, I don't care what color you are. I care what you do. And the Muslim holy book tells them that they are to kill anybody who does not convert to Islam. They are to put them to the sword. That is what the Quran says. Yes, I've read it. That's what it says. Y'all excuse me for checking my phone. My grandson's in surgery right now, so I'll be checking that. Folks, I didn't come on here to preach this morning. I certainly didn't come on here to lose my temper with people who've got no better sense than to think that we would hurt ourselves and stand up for Islamics. I came on here this morning because I wanted to remember 9/11. Let you know where a normal person was at. I was picking up my paycheck. My wife was at the doctor's office with Ayana. I don't know why, but there's still this really bad hole right through the center of me from that day. I understand what my granddad meant now. I do. I understand what he meant. I love you guys. Even the ones on here that make me crazy. You you have to understand that until Jesus comes back, folks, it's not going to get any better. It's only going to get worse. That means there's going to be more of them attacks. There's going to be more killing, more stealing, more rapes, more murders. Thank you, Trish. I appreciate that, hon. There's going to be unprecedented evil that's going to take place. It's going to happen. You know, in England, they have to worry about people attacking buses. In Iraq, Afghanistan, um, Saudi Arabia, Israel, all these places live every day to under the threat that there's going to be an attack. Israel gets more than 100 a day. The United States of America is really blessed that we don't have to live under that kind of fear all the time. We really are blessed that we don't have that. 2K, you do good at school today, brother. we don't have to worry about, well, we do have to worry about it, but it doesn't happen here like it happens everywhere else. In America, you don't see tanks rolling down the streets and people being drug out of their homes and shot and killed yet. You don't see airplanes flying over and bombing apartment complexes trying to kill a terrorist. You don't see that here yet. So the United States of America is really blessed. We're not lucky, we're blessed. And folks, I hope you'll understand when I say I'm about to take some questions, but it better not be no foolishness today. Not today. All right. Distant presence, yes, there is a lot of armed soldiers in Israel all the time, every day. Their Iron Dome repels about 100 to 110 missile attacks a day, rocket attacks a day. No, I'm not from New York. Trish, your husband left for Afghanistan today. Please pray for his protection and for our family. You better believe we will. You better believe we will. And thank you very much for your service and for your sacrifice as well, because a lot of people don't understand that wives sacrifice just as much as husbands do. And maybe, just maybe, President Trump will put an end to this mess in Afghanistan, bring our boys home, and he won't have to be over there very long. Cecil, what do I think the devil is thinking this 9/11? I think he's thinking that he made a mistake, just like the radical Islamists that did it understand that they made a mistake, because you don't rattle our cage, we'll bite the fingers that you stick through. I don't know what these peace camps are for in Syria. I really don't. I don't know a whole lot about that. I try to stay away from all the news. I get it on Facebook, and I'll go look at, and I don't look at just one news outlet. I look at all of them when I go to check the news. That way I can get the real story. Because if you watch CNN, the only thing you're going to get is the Democrat side. And if you watch Fox, all you're going to get is the Republican side. And nobody just, tells the news anymore. It's got to be opinionated. I get my news from Reuters, the Associated Press, BBC, Sky News. Sky News is pretty right down the middle. And I will go and get the left and the right side of what everybody else is reporting from CNN and Fox. Back during the presidential election, when they were when we were voting for Trump, I remember thinking CNN stood for the Clinton News Network because that's the only thing they talked about was how wonderful Hillary Clinton was. I better be careful or I'll be died of Clinton's side. You know, and I want to say something else too. A lot of people come down on President Trump because of what he said about Islam, Muslims coming from certain areas. And folks, I want you to do a little homework today, if you don't mind. I would like very much for you to go look up right here on YouTube Christians stoned in Dearborn, Michigan. Use that in your search bar here on YouTube. Go watch the videos. I would like for you to look up Christians beaten in UK, in London, and look and see what take place there. And then you will understand why we don't need a heavy population of Muslims in this country. You'll understand it. And I don't really understand why they come to America when all they do is complain about us and try to change us into what they just left. If you like Sharia law that much, stay where it's at. We don't want it. Okay, it's not a race of people, Dixie. It's a religion, and it's a religion that the Holy Book calls for the extinction of anyone who does not believe the way that they do. So I believe I will point fingers at that because Jesus said we're not supposed to be tolerant of false religions. I don't teach tolerance. Sorry, I don't. That's not what my Bible says I'm supposed to teach. My Bible says it's supposed to teach it's a false religion, and that's what I teach. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like it, lump it, love it, or leave. That's the way it is. I will not ever apologize for preaching the gospel. I will not ever apologize for warning against false religions. I won't. Not ever. But, anyways, this is the United States. There is freedom of speech, and there is separation of church and state. You know, I have the freedom. I'm gonna say something here, and I'm gonna use a prop. Y'all see this? Make sure everybody gets a good look at this. That flag draped my father's casket. When our house caught fire down in Bradenton, Florida, that was sitting on the entertainment center. The wood burned completely up. The glass was so you couldn't even see through it. TV underneath the flag melted and ran into the floor. But when I took and broke the glass out of that flag was unharmed. My Bible that was laying right beside that flag, the outside of it, you couldn't even tell it was a Bible. But not a single page of that Bible burned. Not one. So when you start talking about freedoms and freedom of speech and freedom of religion, I believe that you have a right to freedom of speech. But just because you can say something don't mean you oughta. I believe in freedom of religion. As long as your religion don't try to take my life, because my religion don't want to hurt you. So you don't get to hurt me just because your religion says you can. No. Sorry. I believe in the right to bear arms. I got a shotgun right in there. Don't care who knows it. I carry a pistol. Don't care who knows it. I believe in every single right granted by the Constitution. Bing bong, you're banned. You don't use the N word on my channel. Shane was getting you. He was deleting your messages as fast as he could, but since he couldn't get you before you use that N word, well, I'll get you out of here. We don't do racism. Mm-mm. See, a lot of folks say that because I don't like radical Islam and I speak out against Muslims that I'm racist. They're ignorant. It's not racism. It's bigotry. There's a difference. But anyways, I am going to sign off of here for this morning. And I'm going to be somebody asked me, actually a few people have, to put my full testimony on here. Now, I don't know if they mean my full testimony as from the time I've been saved or the testimony that all the miracles that's taken place throughout my whole life. I'm not certain. Won't y'all tell me what you want? Do you want the testimony of just after I got saved, or do you want the testimony of all the miracles and stuff? You tell me what you want, and I'll make that video, but it'll be an uploaded video. It won't be live. There's my good friend from Bowling Green. All right, fellas, that's what I'll do then. I might work on that today because I'm here all by myself and the house is good and quiet. Well, that don't ever happen. And I love you guys, not as much as God. And no matter what people tell you, don't ever, ever forget 9/11. And even today, pray for the families of those who lost loved ones on that day. Pray for them, hold them up in prayer. That was a rough day for everybody. Bye now.